Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. It's fucking hot in here. This thing over there. Let's go. Keep it up. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good. Although I do. Over there. Alex, hi Sean B. How's your day? Hope you're having a good day, Sean. So, we're plugging in my laptop before it dies. Yeah, dinner ready? Cheeseburger. We did it right this time, because last time we put ketchup. This time, no ketchup, thank God. How you doing, maybe? What's up, yo? What's up? Paul Logan, Paul? Yep, I'm always eating. I can't have ketchup because my acid reflux. Otherwise, hi, Mr. UFO. Thank you, Mr. UFO. Thank God it's. Oh. And then it comes with French fries. Wow. Wrestling was good yesterday. Thought I quit. Oh, sorry, guys. Gassy. Very.
It is what.
Yes, there was Vince news. I mean, it's not shocking news this week, but it is what it is. I'm sure we both cover it. There's no reason to talk about the old man here. I don't want to put a damper on the night's festivities.
But we already talked about Hogan. That's
yeah, that's more than enough.
For the old men.
Yeah. So SmackDown is moving back to 2 hours back in June. So you guys do have a
That's whack.
stop on the torture for 3-hour SmackDowns on Friday night. But during WrestleMania season, I don't think we'll feel. Hopefully, we don't feel that that fatigue going into Friday nights. As far as the other WWE news this week, we have news on WWE Saturday night's main event listing to go head-to-head with AEW All In Texas. Now, I know a lot of people in the community love the head-to-head battles, Dynamite and NXT, and Collision in NXT this past Saturday, where they ran a rerun of NXT New Year's Evil against Collision. And AEW only beat them by a solid 50,000 viewers in the overall number. So, I don't know what you made of this, Jason. I just laughed at this because I'm not really surprised as to see WWE go head-to-head with AEW. I'm surprised that it's All In, but I'm not surprised that they're actually doing a head-to-head here with AEW. But that's not the only thing. Ironically, Vengeance Day is taking place on February 15th. And Grand Slam Australia is airing that same day, but it's not going to run head-to-head. It's going to be on the same day. So it's going to be afternoon Grand Slam and then evening NXT. So those two shows, it's a big wrestling Saturday, that February 15th. And then obviously we have this, July 12th, Globe Life Field, All In, and then Saturday night's main event on July 12th as well. And the other one they announced, May 24th, which takes place double or nothing weekend for AEW. As you know, AEW's got a stranglehold on the Memorial Day show during that weekend, which I think we'll get that on Sunday and then Saturday night's main event on Saturday, obviously. So that'll be a big wrestling weekend as well. What do you make of this, man?
It's fucking hot. I'm sweating.
What I make of it is that there are apparently a lot of people out there who don't understand that NBC is the one who selects the dates.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Saturday night's main event shows. And so we know there are 4 of them that they're contracted to every year. So we're having the first one, not this weekend, but next weekend. The next one in May, one in July, and I don't remember what the other date was. September maybe? I don't remember what the other date may be. But NBC, apparently, they're the ones who pick the dates. This is not where Triple H and Nick Khan go, hey, let's run on July 12th and really drive him over the edge.
No input whatsoever from Triple H, huh?
Why?
Well, look, it's an NBC call. So do they have input? I mean, I can't say they don't, but we heard about this months ago. that this was not a WWE call. When they announced the one for January 25th, it was like, why would you do one for January 25th when you're a week out from the Royal Rumble? It's just, we just had one. And now you're doing one a month later, a week before one of your biggest, PLEs.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
And then, it was Mike Johnson who reported that, well, it's not a WWE call. Apparently, they had no influence on that one. It was an NBC call.
So don't do it. Cancel it.
If it's an NBC call, then blame the network. But I don't see this as being some sort of nefarious plot, at least not with this show, to fuck with AEW, unless we hear otherwise. It's an NBC call. It worked out the way that it worked out. It sucks for Tony Khan because now, this is going to be his biggest show of the year. And I am sure, whatever you think of AEW, that all-in show is going to be much better than whatever Saturday night's main event.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just
Yes.
say that.
We're
How you
both gonna
doing?
be
What's
covering
up,
that
Oliver?
show.
Of course, I'm not going to be covering Saturday night's main event that night. Of course, I'm going to be covering AEW as you will, because it is going to be a big show. We're going to have a lot of great matches on that show, probably Kenny Omega against Okada being one of them. Tony's going to load up the card, and it's going to be great. But it's still, I can understand Tony Khan looking at that and going, okay, he probably doesn't buy that it's an NBC-only decision because WWE has fucked with him before. I mean, that is true. But in this case, I wouldn't throw that all on WWE because I really don't. I don't think that it was ultimately their final call to make as far as the scheduling of that show.
Yeah, it's just a little bizarre that you got the February 15th, which is not airing head to head, but still the same day, and you got May 24th and then July 12th. I mean, you could see that people are starting to ask questions like, really? Because I know everybody heard that it's an NBC thing, but then you start to kind of see these news articles come out and be like, fans are going to start asking questions, and they have a right to start asking questions.
Do y'all watch wrestling, guys?
Yeah,
I do.
That's what it looks like head on, but we're told it's an NBC thing. What the fuck do you want us to think? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't fuck with AEW. They have, and they will. In this case, though, I'm just not going to say that we should be putting it all on WWE because I don't think that it was a unilateral decision that they made. I'm sure
I still haven't eaten everything yet. Taking my time.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've done this stuff before. Like we've talked about Labor Day weekend, right? When they were doing.
No, I'm not talking. I'm listening to these people.
Like this before, and the vengeance.
I watch videos on this channel. I'm talking to you guys. Do y'all watch wrestling?
But that's the way it goes sometimes. That's the competition. That's how it works. So Tony will just have to put together the best card he possibly can, and I'm sure he will.
Now the sickos are probably all ganging up on Solomon, so getting ready to blast him on Twitter. I know he was a Triple H shill, man. He's defending Triple H.
I just told you. I just talked about the fucking Triple H and the transfer window and Vince McMahon and the wild card rule. I mean, again, people hear what they're gonna hear. So.
Oh, those sickos, man. Those sickos, man. They just take everything out of context. But yes, listen, It sucks for us. I would rather cover one show and then worry about another show on a different day. But, yeah, here's what it is. We got a big weekend. You know what I don't like is the fact that all these big weekends have a wrestling show that correlates with that big weekend. Like, I want to enjoy Memorial Day. I don't want to fucking be home watching wrestling on Memorial Day weekend, but here we are.
I don't mind watching wrestling.
Shows,
I'm sorry.
Memorial Day, Labor Day,
4th of July.
4th of July.
I don't know, man.
I got nothing else to do.
It's all over the place. Wrestling is all over the place, man. You can't get enough of it. Actually, I can.
There's more of it now than ever before. It feels like.
I know.
There's so much of it, and and not only, I don't just mean like so many shows, like even the shows themselves are getting bigger. Now they're 3 hours instead of 2. It's too much.
Speaking of big shows, WWE, there was a rumor, thanks to Bad Bunny, who might have been trolled.
Oh, this is great. This is my favorite story of the week.
WWE supposedly is going to hold Backlash in Mexico City.
It is in Mexico.
Was interviewed, and apparently he mentioned that, he talked about the Damian Priest match in Puerto Rico, which was a great match.
But you just watched it the other day, you said, no? On Netflix?
So Bad Bunny revealed WWE's plans for Backlash to be held in Mexico. What can I tell you? It was nice. We were there until we could bring WWE to Puerto Rico. And man, I actually feel like it was on
Netflix yesterday.
because I saw that last year. Backlash was in France. but now it's going to be in Mexico. They saw that it worked. So I'll stop there because he goes on and mentions something else. But Jason, I know you brought this up a couple episodes ago. I don't know who runs this account, and I don't know why they haven't been taken down. I guess it's a parody account. I guess it's everything's fucking fair game on social media. But this Wessel votes.
Wessel votes. Yes.
You said it in the soundtrack. This fucking story has claimed another victim here in Bad Bunny.
Well, for the people, yes. I had to block the account a while ago just because I almost got duped. Okay, so look, if you get duped by it, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't also get duped by it, but you just got to really pay close attention here because what happened was the first time, Dave Meltzer was the one who clearly he saw a tweet that Wessel, even just saying it, like I can't not laugh. He saw a tweet that originated.
Oh no, we got another Goldberg moment over here.
A tweet? They still use that word tweet?
From Wessel, I just think of Elmer Fudd now.
So
every
just
time
take
I
it
say
to Twitter again.
So Wessel Votes had a tweet that Backlash in April was coming to the Tokyo Dome. Of course, I can imagine that Dave's eyes just lit up like a Christmas tree. And so he went on Twitter and said, okay, Backlash at the Tokyo Dome. He was probably booking his ticket as we speak. And then people jumped on him and said, oh my God, like he fell for a phony tweet from Wessel Votes. They had like a graphic for it and everything. Like, again, to be fair, it looked like,
it looked legit. I'm sorry.
It looked legit. It had like the logo and everything.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it too a couple of times
but
in
this
this
is the way
channel.
Dave handled it because when it became clear that he was kind of duped, he didn't just come out and say, oh, I saw it, fell for it on a parody account. Like he tried, I think he deleted the initial tweet and then reported, I can confirm that it is not taking place. Like, wait a minute, you're the one who spread the tweet in the first place, and now you're like batting down. Like you're the reason why it spread. So he was the first like big victim of Wessel Votes, and now it appears that Bad Bunny is the latest victim of Wessel Votes because they put a tweet up that said Backlash is coming to Mexico, and again they had like a special graphic for it, like a special logo. That does not appear to be the case. So I don't know if this is going to become an ongoing thing where until we find out where Backlash is going to be, it's going to be from a new international city every month, right? First it was the Tokyo Dome, and then it was Mexico City, and then next month, Wessel Votes will put something out that Backlash is coming to Peru or something. I don't know, but they almost have to have it now from an international location, don't they? Like it would be kind of underwhelming if they said Backlash is coming to, Gary, Indiana, or something like that. Like, it would be like a huge letdown.
Salt Lake City, Utah, Backlash.
yeah, it's like coming to Newark, New Jersey. Like what?
I do think the rumor was last year after France that I think Nick Khan or somebody there said Italy might be next. Like I could see that being the case. I would find it to be funny if Wessel Votes actually put out something with Italy and it actually ends up being right. But I think Jason, everybody knows that. Look at the luchador Mexican wrestling presence that WWE has on their roster. Angel, Humberto, Santos Escobar, Rey Mysterio, Dominic, Andrade, you name it. And that's not the Dragon Lee. That's not going to be the end of it. I could see them holding legitimately. We're all trolling about this fucking account. I could legitimately see them doing Mexico City. Might not be this year, but it could certainly be in the next couple of years. Mexico City, big stadium show. Imagine, we get proper stories and all their biggest Mexican talent highlighted on that show. It may be a troll now, but I do think it's going to end up becoming a reality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they certainly have the talent.
Let's see what's going on the wildfires as well.
I mean, the way they sell tickets to these international shows, you don't think that show wouldn't do well?
It would do great.
I mean, come on, of course it would do great. I wonder though, like, because AAA, they own their own arena, like Arena Mexico.
Yeah.
And I know Tony Khan has the working relationship with CMLL.
So where would that be? Azteca Stadium?
No. Well, no. They're two separate venues, are they not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
one's bigger than the other, though.
Okay. Well,
I think Azteca Stadium, I think, is like 80,000 seater or something like that.
Well, they're not going to get 80,000 people, but yeah, I mean, if they want to run a stadium show, that doesn't have to be a stadium show. Like the show they ran, they've run certain international shows in regular, like Bash in Berlin. You know, it was in a whatever it was, 13,000 seat building.
Mercedes Dome Stadium, whatever the fuck it was, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yep, or arena.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think they'll definitely run there. It might not be for Backlash, but you're going to see a lot more of the international shows. And if their business continues to be as hot as it is and the demand is there for tickets, and you see these prices they sell these tickets for, why wouldn't they run more? We already know they're running more Saudi shows, right? The Royal Rumble is going to Saudi Arabia next year. They're still going to have probably their 2 annual ones. I think
the Saudi Arabia.
The next one has already been confirmed, I believe, for June. They'll be back in Saudi. So,
oh, great.
Yeah. Well, usually it's in May. So this time, no, I would imagine, though, that actually makes more sense because if they're going to do King and Queen of the Ring traditionally was held in June.
Yes.
So if they're going to, and I don't see any reason why they would do it differently, if you're going to have King and Queen of the Ring with the winners getting world championship matches at SummerSlam, June probably does make more sense for it. But I think it's only a matter of time before a Mexico show happens.
Oh, they doing that again?
They could tout their record-breaking ticket sales in Mexico City. This is the highest-grossing arena show in WWE history.
Everybody cheers. Like, you people are getting scared.
Yeah, well. As far as the Saudi show in June, I don't envy that roster, man. What is it going to be, 140 degrees over there?
Oh, yeah. Well, God, yeah. I can imagine. I went to Vegas once in July, and it was 112 every day. And they say, oh, it's a dry heat. I go, fuck you. What does that even mean? That's supposed to make me feel better?
Man, we were there for the first Double or Nothing, man. I woke up fucking dripping in sweat, just going out of Caesar's Palace to go get a fucking Starbucks coffee down the street. Why is it so fucking hot, man? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like 100 degrees outside.
Well, the trick is you got to walk through the casinos. So that way you just go from one to the next, and you don't have to worry about walking outside.
That makes sense.
I know, man. I'm from New York. Let me go outside and just brace the weather conditions. Who gives a shit? Yeah. But, Mexico City, that's definitely going to happen. Probably not this year, maybe next year. But Bad Bunny wasn't done there. He mentioned, and I quote, I want to do it, meaning wrestling in WWE again, one more time. I want to put my life at risk in the ring. I felt like I didn't risk it enough in the ring, and I want to do it. I want to scare my mother. When? I don't know. We stay in contact with people in WWE. We're always paying attention to what's going on. But when? I don't know. I hope there's a time where I can really get ready like I did the last few times, and I'd love to take more time to get ready physically. Then there was an Instagram post from Logan Paul Jason where he said he would love to get Bad Bunny in the ring one-on-one. Now, we all know what Logan Paul can do in the ring. And Bad Bunny with that Damian Priest match in Puerto Rico, he fucking opened so many eyes, I probably can't count. We'll be here for fucking 5 hours. It was unbelievable what he did. Those two guys in the ring, man, as a celebrity presence that they both have for WWE, knowing what both of them can do in the ring, you know, at first I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. But now knowing what they hanger, honestly.
It could be. I'd be curious because you have two people. Now, Logan's been doing it now for a couple of years, not full time, but he's still new. I mean, he's not like a veteran or anything like that. So putting him in the ring with Bad Bunny, who's had, 2 matches?
Yeah.
Right? Bad Bunny had a tag match and then a singles match. There's a risk involved there. Who's leading the way in that match? That's
Logan Paul, just based on seniority.
The referee probably is going to be leading the way there. It would be interesting because Logan is super athletic. Like, we know what he can do. It's funny to me to hear Bad Bunny say, I didn't risk my life enough in the first match. Like, it was a San Juan street fight. They beat the hell out of each other. And Damian Priest gave him a falcon arrow, I think, off some equipment cases.
That was
like
funny.
Tables and stuff. Like, he took a beating in that match. So, you know, for somebody who had never done that before, I would say he took a pretty big risk, you know, doing what he did. And that ended up being one of my favorite matches that year.
Yep.
But I had that in my top 10. I think it was my number 8 top match of 2023. It was just one of those like sports entertainment type matches that it was overbooked is all hell.
Put me in a
Remember,
match.
Came back and a bunch of people ran in, but
Me
it was
versus
so much
Cena.
fun. So yeah, I would love to see him back in the ring again. Why not? First time was
That match was the perfect recipe of just everything being perfect. Where they were, the
It's even
crowd,
the time.
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, the crowd.
unbelievable. The entrance for Bad Bunny, I still go back and just randomly. I think about it. I'm like, let me go YouTube that.
Well, when he first walked out, they had like that drone shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fucking great.
No, it was great.
Yeah, so that's the news there as far as Mexico City, Bad Bunny. I'm assuming we'll see him back on WWE TV when, we don't know. But in this new Netflix era, they're going to go all out, and surprises will be aplenty for sure in WWE. Speaking of Logan Paul, his name has been linked to Gunther as a possible opponent for Gunther at WrestleMania 41. PW Insider reports that WWE officials are considering a match between Gunther and Logan Paul for the World's Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 41. This potential clash has reportedly been pushed internally in creative circles, but no official decision has been made. Logan Paul recently moved to Monday Night Raw, has not competed since SummerSlam. He lost the U.S. title in August to L.A. Knight, and Logan Paul was at Raw in Los Angeles and declared that he is going full-time with WWE. It's no longer a side hustle to him. 100% will be going towards pro wrestling. Gunther, he's the World's Heavyweight Champion and just got announced. We'll talk about Raw in a bit. For Saturday night's main event on the 25th, he will be defending the championship in what will more than likely be a placeholder match for him against Jey Uso. So that's the latest there. I know a lot of people, Jason, said that Logan Paul versus John Cena is not really good enough for John Cena to be at WrestleMania or for a WrestleMania match for John Cena. I might have been in the minority thinking that might have been a good WrestleMania opponent for John Cena. I still do.
Yeah,
I still do
true.
think that is kind of on the table, maybe, but probably not the direction that they're going. Can't you say the same thing about Gunther, because his world championship reign really hasn't even come close to what he did with the Intercontinental Championship? But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people should be saying the same thing about Gunther. I think we need to heat Gunther up back going into WrestleMania season, give him a real
But he might not
solid
win, though. He might
for
lose the title.
WrestleMania, a nice championship match. But even if they do go with this match, I do think the story could be there. And I think, again, it would be a banger, because Gunther doesn't have bad matches. And Logan Paul going against Gunther's style and his size, I think we could be looking at possibly a sleeper match for the weekend.
I don't doubt the match would be great. I really do. I think the match itself would be great. It's just we haven't seen Logan Paul debut, like officially debut on Raw yet, and it's January.
Yeah.
So if he's wrestling for the World Championship, that to me that means he's either winning the Royal Rumble, which I don't want to see, or he's going to win the Chamber, because otherwise, I mean, it's a relatively short period of time to really build him up for a spot that you would think somebody else would have already been teased for.
Yeah.
But when you look at the roster, like, if they're not going to do Gunther and John Cena, who would the other logical? And it'd have to be a babyface. That's the other thing that's weird about it.
Yeah.
Gunther would have to work that match as the babyface, because ain't nobody going to cheer Logan Paul in this situation over Gunther. So it's just weird. It's weird, but who else is ready for that spot? Who else have they teased or kind of groomed for that spot? Again, if they're not going to do Cena and Gunther for the title and then Cena gets beat, who else would it be? Right? It's not going to be Seth Rollins against Gunther. You're going to do that?
That's boring.
Well, okay, CM Punk could potentially win the Rumble and then go on to challenge Gunther for the title. What about Punk and Gunther as a WrestleMania match? But then what do you do at Rollins?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Doesn't make sense.
This is why I'm sticking to my guns. When I've constantly thought about this while prepping for the show here, or what I do on the channel.
Thank God I don't have to book matches.
Stick to Punk and Rollins at WrestleMania. I just cannot see them doing Punk winning the World Championship at WrestleMania yet. And if you do Punk and Gunther, where does Rollins fit in? You're just leaving him without a spot, unless you do something regarding McIntyre. I mean, we're seeing that on Monday, so I'm sticking with Punk and Rollins at WrestleMania. I really am.
Yeah, so when it comes to Gunther, you don't have a lot of other great options.
No.
So if they want to heat Logan Paul up, I mean, that's fine. But I fear that could potentially be like a surprise Rumble win. And then the whole dynamic of the match would be weird, because who is going to cheer for Logan Paul over Gunther? Right? Very few people. Very few people. I mean, there are people who think Gunther is boring and they don't like him being world champion and his run is boring. I will say this. First of all, Gunther is not boring.
No, he's not.
That's number one.
He's an acquired taste for sure.
Yes, he's an acquired taste. The thing that I love about him, especially in his promos, is how condescending he is. He's such
He
a
is condescending.
prick. And he's got that stupid smirk on his face. You just want to see somebody smack it off. But I will say this, though. His Intercontinental title run, at least up to this point, his Intercontinental title run, I think, has been more fulfilling than his World Heavyweight title run.
Agreed.
And so there's still work to be done as far as this playing catch up to that reign that he had. But like you said, he's an acquired taste. He is somebody who they largely protect. Looking back at it, I really don't like it. It didn't matter in the big picture, but I really don't like how they just threw him in the ring with Cody Rhodes and just had Cody beat him at that Saudi show. I didn't like the idea of doing champion against champion to begin with.
No, it was terrible.
That's like that old Survivor Series stuff that, to me, it's counterproductive. I don't really see what's gained from it. But he's still largely protected.
Yep.
You just got to have a good opponent for him. And they just haven't done a good job of getting anybody ready for that
How you
spot.
doing,
He's already
everyone? I
beaten
hope
Damian
everybody's
Priest
having a
and
good day.
Balor and Rollins. Again, Rollins and Punk, I think, are going to be doing their own thing. McIntyre's a heel. Sheamus is going to be, clearly working at the IC title level. There really aren't a lot of other good options unless they move somebody big, like a big babyface, in the transfer window from SmackDown, which they could do. But then who would that be?
AJ Styles.
I said the same thing, but I don't know. I don't know as far as his injury. And he just tweeted about his injury the other day, about how frustrating it's been trying to make a comeback from it. Is that him just trying to throw us off the scent of a Royal Rumble appearance?
Could be.
Could be.
Probably.
It could be. I agree, though. I would love to see AJ and Gunther. But it would be the same thing as Logan Paul, where he would be new to the show and you'd have to... I mean, it's AJ, so he's been champion before. It wouldn't take that much effort to kind of work his way back into the title scene. AJ and Gunther, I think, would also be a banger, though.
That's true.
Yeah. Again, we kind of wrap our heads around this WrestleMania discussion, and the one thing always sticks out of every match that we speculate could be at WrestleMania. It's all up to The Rock. As soon as he tells you what he's doing, as soon as you see what he's doing, I think everything else is going to fall into place. I truly believe that. So hopefully we find that out in 2 weeks at the Rumble. So I don't know what's going on there. We'll see. Going through Logan Paul is a rumor. Don't take it to heart. It's just being discussed right now internally with creative.
Yeah, there's a lot of matches being discussed. Yeah. Discussed is very different than actually happening.
There was a report that John Cena is among the internal frontrunners to win the Royal Rumble. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, being that he's back and this is his last year in pro wrestling. WrestleVotes talked about this, saying, especially after the promo on Monday last week, when asked if he thinks John Cena is winning the Rumble, I think everybody's in attendance live, giving him the reaction, and he was looking for that reaction, and they want to see number 17. So, we heard that he was one of the leaders in the clubhouse prior to Monday Night Raw debut on Netflix, and I think Monday on Netflix only solidified that he's probably choice 1 or choice 1A for the Rumble win.
What is 1A?
No, I don't give the Rumble to John Cena. I think that's overly predictable. I do think he has a good showing, and I do think he's a part of the Final Four, but I don't think he wins.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have him win. I would have him lose, but then win the Chamber.
Yeah. Moving on, we have... Let's see, what else we got here? We got, let's go to Raw. We have, I think we've kind of stood our ground on everything else. Let's go into Monday Night Raw last night. Obviously, the biggest thing that happened last night was the debut of Penta, and everybody was talking about this. I titled it, put it in the thumbnail. There was a big news story that came out last night that kind of bled into this morning. And the debut, we'll start there, Jason, with the debut. He came out. And Michael Cole said it was the worst kept secret in the business up until this point last night. Everybody knew it was Penta. We got 3 weeks of vignettes. Yep. Obviously the mask vignette that we saw, I think all of us in the know kind of knew who it was. And then the debut on Netflix, they wrote his name in the mask. So it's like, gee, I wonder who it's going to be. And then last night, before the debut, WWE, earlier in the day, puts Penta's merchandise on WWE Shop. Which, by the way, I bought the mask because we had another goal last night. I will be getting the mask hopefully shipped soon. So now I have a hologram mask and a Penta mask. I don't know what I'm going to do with these fucking masks. Maybe when the kids...
I didn't know you were such a big Lucha Libre fan.
Me neither. I guess when the kids show up for Halloween at the house, I could wear either one of the masks. Maybe I'll go back and forth. But he had merchandise on WWE Shop, and he was on the front homepage of WWE Shop. So it's like, gee, man, I wonder who Chad Gable's opponent's gonna be. You know, he's there with his merchandise on. Ebu of Russell Pierce says they had all this shit planned since September, which I'm not surprised by. So people were up in arms yesterday afternoon. Why did they spoil it, man? Why didn't they save it for a surprise, man? Like you didn't know who the fuck was going to show up. Who was it going to be? Really?
It literally had his name in the video last week. Like, it was right there.
No, Tony Khan just miraculously released Ray Phoenix, man. That's who it's going to be. Come on. Everybody was up in arms. Why didn't they save it? You knew who it was.
A hologram showed up on Raw, like made the jump. Like back in the Monday Night Wars, people would make the jump. And Tony Khan sees hologram pop up on Raw. I think he would drop to his knees and tears.
He might not even be here today. He'd be in the spirit world. he'd be with Goldberg. Forget about it, man. Yeah. But yes, that was yesterday. People were up in arms. Hype it up. You know, Triple H even said at the post-show media scrum on Monday last week after Raw was over. It's like, someone asked him in the media, any insight on Drew Gable's opponent's going to be? He's like, I think everybody knows who it is, man. Give me a fucking break. So they wanted to hype it up. They got people excited about it. He showed up. And Michael Cole, like I said, worst kept secret in pro wrestling. The music.
Thank you.
I want to start there, Jason. What'd you think of the theme? Because I don't know if it's a Def Rebel theme or if it's an outside source that they use to record the theme.
Like and subscribe.
I honestly didn't hate it. As long as it was up-tempo and kind of was rugged and tough for Penta, I actually enjoyed what they did as far as his theme music and presentation was concerned.
I thought the music, it was just generic rock.
I know.
I didn't think the music was anything special. It wasn't terrible. I've heard worse. And there's still time for them to, work on an actual better theme. I compared it to Nakamura. They put a lot of effort and care clearly into this reboot for Shinsuke Nakamura. And I think his presentation, forget the matches and when the bell rings, just from the moment they hit his music and they follow him down the aisle and everything, and that haunting, it's the same song, but obviously they tweaked it. It's almost got like a haunting vibe to it. I think that's great.
Over there.
And it really is like a vibe all on its own. And there was no vibe last night. It was just kind of generic. So I think they need to work on that. The rest of the presentation I thought was spot on. He came out and got a great reaction in San Jose. They treated him like a superstar on night one from the moment he walked out there. So I thought everything else about the presentation was top notch.
So what you're saying in so many words is that Nakamura's entrance is aura.
You see, I avoided using that word
Aura.
on purpose. Now you had to go and use it. See, I was able to. See, I don't need to use these words to get my point over. So there are certain words that are so overused by people. Cinema. Yeah.
Yep.
Cinema. Aura. And I kind of go out of my way. I go out of my way to avoid using them to get my point across. And then you have to just blurt it out because that's what you do.
Well, I mean, that's the cool buzzwords in social media, man, for all things WWE nowadays.
Not for me.
But the entrance I thought was great. His presence was great. He did the whole Zero Miedo thing. It didn't hit until the end of the match.
Yep.
And we'll get to that in a little bit. But man, how perfect was an first opponent for Penta, Chad Gable. I know a lot of people talking about Penta and the match itself and what the match meant and the promo, but man, Chad Gable, you couldn't have asked for a better in-ring opponent, working a WWE style, just getting him used to what he has to do in the ring from this moment on. I know a lot of people, including me, I'm sure you did as well, the sell on the Mexican Destroyer, the Canadian Destroyer, it was fucking just a thing of beauty, man. Gable sold it like fucking Dolph Ziggler would be selling for the fucking biggest stars in WWE when he was there, man. Fucking perfect.
Yep.
And he sold the need at Penta. It was just, the match itself was a WWE-style match, but at the same time, WWE gave him a lot of leeway to do all of his big spots. The arm breaker, we've seen the Canadian Destroyer, which caused a little riff-raff on social media. The Penta driver, the sling blade. He did his dances. He did the whole thing. I mean, it was just a perfect mix of WWE and what we know of Penta. And when he hit all those big moves at the end, man, the fucking crowd popped after selling the knee and hitting that big pile driver, the Penta driver. The crowd just exploded, man. The match itself was more of a statement to me, and I said this on my end on my Raw review. Everything that AEW is doing,
Thank you.
you know, they got banger matches, don't get me wrong, but a lot of things over there feel the same. You see a lot of the same styles, a lot of the same type of wrestler doing the same thing, people getting dropped on their head. There's no selling. There's no in-ring story as far as working a body part most of the time. I mean, Penta did that in AEW, but he came to WWE, and on night one, man, he exploded in just in-ring storytelling. And I feel like it almost kind of exposed AEW for, you know, needing to slow down the pace just a tad to do what Penta did last night. How did you feel about the overall match itself? And do you feel like it kind of opened up people's eyes to what AEW was doing wrong?
Yeah, I mean, just on the point about like selling a body part and selling injuries. I mean, AEW has shown that they have the ability to tell those stories when they want to. They did it. Like, that was the story with Bryan Danielson and his neck for most of the year last year.
And the MJF and Ospreay match, a 50-minute match that there, 60-minute match that there.
Right.
Wow,
and well, with Ospreay even, that first match that he and MJF had, but Ospreay, you know, refusing to use the Tiger Driver. So I mean, we've seen examples of that. But yes, their style is generally more fast-paced, and there is a sameness to it. A lot of people work the same way in that company. It's the same fast-paced breakneck style with the big flashy moves. You see a little bit of that in WWE as well, but it's not as ubiquitous. It's not as common as it is on AEW television. So that was noticeable. You know, you mentioned the Destroyer, and I was initially disappointed that he didn't win with it, partially because Gable just sold it so well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Randy Orton getting that awful pile driver from Kevin Owens, and we haven't seen him in 3 months. And here, let's call it what it is. It was basically a fucking pile driver that he gave him, and then he kicked out, and I'm like, because that move has just been so bastardized. And I was kind of hoping maybe he would win with it. But then when I saw him go for the arm breaker, like Lucha Underground style, I said, okay, all is forgiven. Because what they're doing is they're allowing him to go in there and just showcase all of his big moves and get all of his big moves over. So we went from the Destroyer to the arm breaker to the Penta Driver, and it got over. And it got a great reaction. And they gave them time. They got almost 15 minutes out there. And the crowd was with it. And like you said, I made the comment, I said, I have never in my entire life, in any match I've ever seen Penta in, I'm talking Lucha Underground, TNA, AEW, House of Glory, I've never seen him sell like one body part, like as much as we saw him sell that freaking ankle in this match. And they didn't squash Gable. Gable got more offense in than I thought he was going to get. And so he was the perfect opponent for Penta because they just played off each other so well. Now, there were a few moments where Penta, I don't want to say he was lost, but maybe there was like a miscommunication here and there. But it was nothing egregious. It was nothing like, oh, man, he fucked up a big move or anything like that. He did fine. Yeah, I thought for his first match, he did great. And what really put it over the top, and this is not something they do all the time, was having Jackie Redmond get into the ring to interview him. Not everybody gets a post-match in-ring interview. And they gave one to him. And he cut it himself. There was no Alex there. There was nobody there to do it for him. I thought his English was pretty good. It was better than I thought it would be. And he spoke a little English. He spoke a little Spanish. And then he ended with the catchphrase. By the end, everybody knew it. Everybody did it. And I said, like, they got the mask on WWE show. What is it, $75, I think is what
I paid $86 with, they gave me free shipping, but it still came to about $85, yeah.
Damn.
85, wow, okay. So $85 for a mask, but when they start, and they have to, when they start selling the gloves, just like the one glove, because, you know, he pulls the glove off in a lot of his matches, that too, that will sell like hotcakes. So I think they've got something special here because he has a certain charisma about him
for a match
that not everybody has. And to your point, you mentioned Tony Khan, everything. What I said, like on my end, was Tony Khan had this man for 5 years. And largely, for the majority of those 5 years, he was relegated to tag team duty. And he was teaming with his brothers. I'm sure they wanted a team together. They were a great tag team. They had one of the best matches in AEW history, that cage match against the Young Bucks.
I was there in attendance. Unbelievable.
Fantastic stuff. But I first got exposed to Pentagon watching Lucha Underground.
did put them on this
And I
one.
knew that this guy could get over and be a big star on his own as a single, whether it's a babyface or a heel, Pentagon Dark, either way. That's what made me a fan of his. And I was hoping, okay, he's doing the tag team thing now. At some point, though, we got to get like a heel Penta run, like a real run. And we never got it. He would have the occasional singles match if he had to, because Phoenix was hurt for a while. So he was doing some singles matches, but he never got a real singles push. And I think it was a huge missed opportunity for Tony Khan, not taking full advantage of what this guy brought to the table. 5 years he had him under contract and never thought, hey, we should maybe give this guy a serious run as a single. Never did it. And I said, Tony Khan's loss is Triple H's gain. Now, the ball is in his court. It doesn't mean that Triple H is going to do a bang-up job with him either. He did on night one. But some of these other luchadors that we've seen Triple H book, and you mentioned Dragon Lee earlier, what the fuck happened to him?
I don't know. Andrade hasn't had good booking either. I mean, he's had that little thing with Carmelo, but I mean, he's been largely just kind of relegated to the mid-card.
Speed. Yeah, he was the speed champion. That's about it. So Triple H has to also prove that, okay, he knows what he's doing with these guys, and he sees real value and will actually push this guy in a serious way, because he has not always demonstrated that when it comes to the luchadors, okay, if we're being honest. So we'll see what happens, but as far as the first night is concerned, I thought they knocked it out of the park. And from start to finish, from the entrance to that promo, and they showed his family, his kids, crying in the front row. It was just great. It was a great moment. I'm sure Ray Phoenix was very happy, for his brother watching, but also, a part of him is like, I should be there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure part of him, he had to be eating him alive on the inside. Like, I should be there with him right now. But in due time, his time will come. But I thought it was great. I thought it couldn't have gone any better than it did. I'm still surprised that we did not get the debut in the form of a tag match with him and Ray against New Day. Apparently that was the plan. I think Fightful may have reported this. That was the plan, and plans changed.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's something they're going to revisit, because we're heading into WrestleMania. I still selfishly would love to see the dark version of Pentagon and him and Ray have a program together. But
Rey Mysterio.
if he's selling a shit ton of merch right now, I mean, do you really see them turning him heel?
No, I don't. I think that would be a colossal error on Triple H's part. Maybe they stopped it. Maybe they stalled it for now because they want to do it at WrestleMania. So we don't really know. Maybe Ray and Penta together. I could see them doing something together at WrestleMania, whether it's a tag team or a one-on-one match, which I see some people fantasy booking about. I would love to see it as well, but I don't think we go there. I think that's a bad business move. I don't believe, just to add on top of what you said in regards to 5 years and Tony Khan having him for 5 years on the roster, I don't believe in all 5 years there wasn't a single fucking mask on shopaew.com, a single glove on shopaew.com.
Are we sure about that? That there was no mask for Penta at all?
No mask for Penta. No mask. The only mask that they've ever sold was for hologram. That's it. And I said it yesterday on social media, and it blew up out of nowhere. I don't really believe why that's the case. And I don't want to make this a shit on Tony Khan, shit on AEW podcast, but I mean, it's just the business side of things over there is just so absent that it makes everything CM Punk said factually correct. It's not a business. And the fact that you did not do that in 5 years is fucking laughable. I don't really understand that. Yet WWE did it on day one before the guy even debuted and showed his face on TV. I don't get it. As far as the overall presentation, Jason, of Penta and the match and just everything that went with it, the promo, and the fans already doing the fucking hand gesture, it's unbelievable. The statement that the match and everything was last night, it was certainly an eye-opening experience for a lot of people that sit on the AEW roster looking at this saying, when is that going to be me? You know the names. We talked about the names. Ricky Starks, Malachi, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or Aleister Black, Miro, if he ever fucking decides to show face again publicly, Wardlow. They did it with Jade. They gave her a big rollout. They made a big spectacle about it. I mean, everything was fucking all over the place. ESPN, Sports Illustrated, you name it. They rolled out the red carpet for her. Nobody really even knew who she was outside AEW. But do you think this was more of a statement from Triple H? Hey, when you guys are done fucking playing amateur hour over there, Come on, man. Welcome to the WWE. Was it more of a hey, we're over here when you're done type of statement? What'd you make of that?
Yep.
I think that might have been part. I don't think that's the only reason, but I do think that is. Look, it's certainly a great recruitment tool. I mean, is it not? To say, hey, look, the water's pretty warm over here. If you want to come take a dip in the pool on our side, yeah. Look, if you're any of those guys on the AEW side and you see him have a great debut like this, you're thinking, man, that looks pretty cool, And I would love to have that feeling and have that experience one day. Time will tell again where Pentagon is going to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now. We'll see if we're still kind of raving about things, but yeah, I think that's probably part of it. But yeah, again, it's just one of those things where I couldn't believe when you just said that there was never a Penta mask on Shop AEW. Like at any point in the last 5 years, to me, that's just insane.
Crazy.
Zero.
Yeah, zero miedo. So, sorry.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's a drop ball. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, it's a drop ball. Tony Khan had the guy for a very long time, could have done a lot more with him than he did. And for whatever reason, he either chose not to or just didn't think. He didn't think or didn't recognize that, hey, we could be doing a lot more with this guy. Because it was already proven that this guy could be a big star on another show. Yeah. Now, again, Lucha Underground is a little bit different. I mean, they weren't running live events and it had a very small audience because of the station it was on. But in the context of that show, that's a lot of people had their first exposure to him on there. And I think they were sort of enamored with this character. And you could have done so much more with it, but you could say that about so many people, that have come through the doors there in AEW and have either left or are on their way out. It's going to be one of those situations where we look back and go, you had the chance, you blew it, you should have done more with the guy, you didn't. Somebody else was able to pick up the ball and run with it. And that's on Tony. Tony has his people that he likes, and those people that he feels are going to do business for him. Maybe he doesn't feel the same way about certain other people, and so they kind of get the shaft. But you can't tell me that there was not money to be made with a singles run, heel or babyface, for Pentagon. I'm not talking about the odd match here and there on Dynamite. He wrestled Adam Copeland once on TV. They had a good match. That's fine. But I'm not talking about just good matches here and there. I'm talking about really putting your muscle, your promotional muscle, behind somebody. Yep. And they didn't do that.
Leave.
Yeah,
their loss is somebody else's gain. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's awful. Also, pay attention. I posted a clip from my show last night on Twitter. Pay attention to who was silent and who tweeted in, happiness for Penta debuting on Monday Night Raw. Swerve tweeted Hermano. Thunder Rosa, she doesn't give a shit. She likes to break the rules over there. She tweeted very happily in regards to Penta. Dustin Rhodes said something. Mikey Ruckus said something kind of indifferent. I think he was like kind of mentioning the very generic theme music because Mikey Ruckus doesn't grow up with work over there. So he's like, I expected a little bit better, which I think everybody kind of wanted a little bit better as far as the theme music is concerned. So I'm sure he was just kind of thinking along the lines of music related. But, who didn't say is a little eye-opening. There was nobody else because I honestly, genuinely feel like everybody's fearing for their position because Tony, gets in his ways. And if you say something that isn't in line with what they are doing right now, your spot may be in jeopardy. So that could be the case. But, in regards to Ray Phoenix, Jason, Ray Phoenix, I think I pinned a comment in the live stream chat, but I just found it now here on social media. Ray Phoenix merch has been completely removed from shopaew.com.
I didn't even know he still had merch up there to begin with. I mean, he hasn't been on TV. So
it's all gone. You go search, and no search results come up with all. Yeah, it's all gone.
Liquidated. Everything must go. Well, I mean, look, he'll be going, but unfortunately, he may have to wait another 8 or 9 months before he goes.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising. I mean, like, he doesn't want to use them on TV, and so I guess he doesn't want to. Well, why wouldn't you, if there was merch up there, why wouldn't you at least mark it down and have some kind of sale and try to make
money?
It's like if they just pulled, I'm taking your word that they just pulled all of it. Like, that's just strange to me. Unless there was a reason why they had to. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes and we'll hear something.
Thou shall not make any money under contract with AEW. I don't know.
Apparently that's his edict. He'd rather just, bench these people and not really make any money off them or do anything with them and just let them sit, pay them to do nothing. I mean, hey, not a bad gig if you can get it, I guess, but it just seems like a huge fucking waste to me.
It is a waste. There was another piece of news in regards to Penta. Obviously, all the great, just match, the ambiance, the whole debut on Raw. There was one down piece of news, and I don't really know if I believe it or not, but we'll go into it here. Apparently, Penta went longer than he was supposed to in his Raw debut, and it upset a couple of people backstage. Now, this is coming from a couple of different sources. PW Insider reported this first before anybody else. Obviously, we saw Chad Gable and Penta last night on Raw. After the match, Penta cut a passionate promo. Earlier in the day, WWE Shop began listing merchandise for Penta. He was also featured on the homepage for WWE Shop. PW Insider reports that Penta is fine and was selling his legs, so he's not injured. Penta did go long, as between the 13-minute match and his post-match promo, Penta went way longer than he was initially planned to go, which led to time being trimmed from other segments later in the show. Now, it was reported that some talent wasn't thrilled about that, but management was happy with the debut and with Penta's live reaction. They were also happy with early merchandise numbers. The premiere episode was a little over 3 hours. I believe they went 3 hours and 5 minutes, with this week's show going only 2.5 hours. Triple H did say previously that they will be flexible with the show depending on the week and thinks 2.5 hours is the sweet spot for Monday Night Raw. PW Insider also pointed out that despite the shorter runtime, they held several dark matches for the live crowd. WWE wanted the show to be over early enough on the West Coast to allow whatever talent and staff scheduled to take red-eye flights home the ability to do so. Now, I saw this story, Jason, earlier in the morning, and the first thing that I thought about was the flexibility. Last week's show went 3 hours and 5 minutes. This week went about 2 hours, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, whatever it was. If the report says that Penta went longer than expected, or his segment, his match, the promo took too much time and other things were trimmed or cut from the show. I mean, the show went 3 hours last week and 2.5 hours this week. How the fuck does that make any sense? Because if they're flexible with time, why didn't they just give everything else that was cut time, just added time? I don't really understand where this story's coming from.
Well, I mean, basically, it's a situation where Triple H has the show formatted for a certain amount of time, right? So everything, I'm sure the way these things work is everything has a certain amount of time allotted to it. And when they go into the day, they say, okay, the show is basically formatted to be this long, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes, whatever it is. And you also have considerations as far as the venue, and they have to take everything down. And so, if they tell the venue we're going to be done by this time, they still have certain, kind of conditions that have to be met. We don't know necessarily all of the different commitments that they've made, and we have to be out of the building maybe at a certain time. So I think that all plays a role. They can't just say, oh, well, we're just going to go as long as we want. We're going to go 3.5 hours because we feel like it, or this segment went long. It's like, no big deal, right? We can pretty much just do what we want. I'm sure it's not that simple, and they can't just make the show as long as they want it to be. So if his segment went long, then they were going to have to trim from somewhere else. The Sami Zayn Miz match went like 4 minutes. So I'm sure that was one match that got time cut. And then the women's match. I thought Lyra Valkyria and Dakota Kai had a pretty good match, but for the finals of this tournament that's been playing out for over a month, they went 8 minutes. So you can't tell me that match didn't have time cut from it. And as far as the reports about people being upset, they weren't upset at Penta. And I think that's an important thing to mention here, because a lot of people are like, oh, Penta's already getting heat in WWE. Penta has no heat in WWE. There were people who were upset because their time may have gotten cut. They were just upset about the situation. Guess what? Time gets cut all the time. This sort of thing happens more frequently than you and I even know about. So they were upset at the situation. They weren't upset at Penta. I'm sure they were all very happy for him. He had a nice moment. There's no heat on him with management. Management thought that apparently, based on the reports, they were thrilled with how things went, as they should be. Look at the reaction he got, right? That was great television last night. So it's just one of those things where things went a little long. And by the way, like, I love the idea, like, oh, heat on Penta. Like Chad Gable was the Invisible Man. Like, if Chad Gable was there too, I don't see people saying, oh, there's heat on Chad Gable. No, it's just heat on Penta. Like, give me a break. So it's really a non-story at the end of the day. It's not a huge deal. I personally love the fact that they can be flexible now. And if the show doesn't warrant being 3 hours, it doesn't have to be 3 hours. That now is a benefit that Raw has that SmackDown doesn't. SmackDown has to be 3 hours, no matter what. Every single week. They can give you a garbage show. You're going to get 3 hours of garbage because that's the length of the show. On Raw, if they have the show formatted for 2 hours and 35 minutes, then that's what it's going to be. I think that's great.
I don't know how you felt when that show was over. I usually have my stream as set for 11:20, 11:25. It's like, no man, I got to set my stream for 10:45 now. It's great.
Yep.
Well, it's great, but it caught me off guard because I wasn't done putting my notes together after the main event. I'm like, shit, oh my God, I got to wrap this up here because there were a couple of big spots I wanted to talk about. So that caught me off guard. But, as time goes on, we'll get used to it. But I love it. I think it's the perfect compromise. If the show is not just going to be 2 hours anymore, somewhere right there in the middle between 2 and 2.5, I think is the perfect length. And Triple H talked about this. He was on McAfee's show recently. I think it was McAfee or maybe Sports Illustrated, but he talked about this.
Yeah, Jimmy Trainer.
Jimmy Trainer, and what he felt the perfect length would be. Sometimes the show feels like it's not long enough. Certain people you want to get on the show, but you don't have time. And then there are other times where the show feels long. So this is like the perfect compromise there. It's one of the benefits of them being on Netflix. That and the fact that we don't have to deal with the crowd muting anymore during the live streams. Although be aware, apparently they are muting certain things on the replays after they go up. So that is something, because I know I remember fuck you solo chants during the Tribal Combat intros. Yeah, they muted that.
Oh, that sucks.
On the replay. But when the initial replay goes up, it's fine. Apparently they then work on editing them. So you might be good for like 48 hours, 72 hours, but there'll be a little message when you go back and watch it that said this broadcast has been edited. And so they are editing some stuff. But if you're watching the show live, it's refreshing to not have to deal with the muting, every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, there is, being that
I'll
Jason,
be back, guys, later.
just,
Bye.
Nicely put all that and wrapped all that up. Fightful has a piece that adds